All right, so I wanted to do a quick product opening of this Magic Game Night 2019 edition. I think there was one prior to this. I think there was a 2018. I'm not positive about that. I wasn't able to find a 2020. This seems like it's the latest one that they made. I could be wrong, but it's the latest one that I could find on Amazon. And yeah, I want to use this to hopefully indoctrinate some new players to the game with something that's kind of simple and pre-configured for multiplayer, and has all the everything you need, and isn't too overwhelming. So I think this is probably, it's kind of marketed as like a board game basically. So I think it's probably geared towards new players. Looks like it's got 5 monocolored decks, each with a foil. That's kind of fun. 5 spin down life counters, 5 life counter platforms, which is interesting. 5 reference cards, 15 double-sided tokens, 20 +1/+1 counters, and a rule book. It says 2 to 5 players, 30 plus minutes. Yes, I guess play as long as you want, I suppose. I haven't played multiplayer in a long time, um, but I'm looking forward to doing it again because it is a lot of fun. Let's open this up just real quick and see what's in this product for anybody who might be curious or might be thinking about getting it yourself, or just, likes to see stuff get opened like I do. It's kind of a cool box. I like the little 5-sided pentagon shaped box. Everything that comes from Amazon has always got a dinged up corner, which, I'm pretty anal about that stuff, but whatever. I think this was like $20, maybe 25, 30, I can't remember, but not a whole lot. Play guide and rule book. Game night. Tells you, I imagine, how you play Magic, so don't need to see the... Ooh. Well, that's pretty cool. I wonder if they have one of these for every deck. It tells you the speed. It kind of gives you a little visual rating of the speed, the creature power, the spells, and the complexity of each of the decks. That is actually... I like that. I think that's pretty neat. And it gives you kind of a rundown of the key cards and the mechanics of each of the decks and the total card list. Ever since Wizards has gone and has been acquired by Hasbro, people could say, what they want about that, but it seems like they've got the resources to really do a lot of cool production stuff. Their packaging has gotten really good. Some of their card production, especially in the United States, I know is still crap. In fact, I meant to mention that in my last video about Commander Legends, that the cards are so warped that you can kind of pop them forward and backward in your hand, even a big stack of them. And you compare that to if you get a pack of the cards like the Ultimate Masters cards from Japan, they're just such better quality. They're really totally different, which seems like they ought to be able to have the same manufacturing process here, and maybe eventually they will, I don't know. But as far as their graphic design and their artwork and, all the other resources that it takes to kind of produce a lot of different sets and a lot of different cards and mechanics and products, obviously it's all profit for them. Hasbro is motivated to give them that kind of support because it comes back to them. But I think we benefit from it too as players because we get good products at relatively good prices. There's obviously a lot of markup on certain products, but as long as the value's there on the market, I think it's kind of hard for you to argue with it. Yeah, the rest of this is just a description of how you play, a glossary. Yeah, so this is handy for a new player, for sure. We got, these must be, I guess you just put these down in front of you and then put your life counter on it to remind you that it represents your life total. That seems a little bit much. But, hey, they had to fill out this board with something, I guess. All these +1/+1 counters, that could come in handy. And then here we have the actual game box itself. That's pretty neat. I like the way that they did this. It's got the 5 spin downs in it. I'm curious if these all have a different set marker on them. Oh no, they just have 20. Well, that's interesting. I kind of expected it to have the Magic logo there. But nope, they're just 20 through 1. I guess I didn't want to confuse anybody. So, yeah, 5 new spin downs and the 5 decks. Endless Horizons, Master death as your zombie hordes overcome all obstacles. You can see speed, medium, creatures, pretty good, spells, not so good, complexity, medium. I'm interested to see if I feel like these ratings are accurate or not. I imagine they probably are. Blue, slow, not too great creatures, pretty good spells, pretty high complexity. That's pretty much what you'd expect. Aerial acrobatics, defend yourself with spells while your creatures fly to victory. Glorious Combat, the white deck. Power up your creatures by attacking early and often. Super fast. It's white weenie, I guess. Creatures, pretty high. Not very many spells. No complexity at all. My dog can play white weenie, is what they're trying to say here. Massive Might. Overwhelm your opponents with enormous dinosaurs. Pretty fast. Tons of creature power. Not so many spells. Again, no complexity. My cat can play Massive Might. Or my 2-year-old. I wish my 2-year-old could play Massive Might. I'd force him to play Magic with me every day. Draconic Fury. Burn away early threats and let your dragons rule the battlefield. Medium speed, pretty high creatures, decent spells, reasonable complexity. So pretty much all these decks are quote-unquote low complexity, except for the black and the blue. And I imagine this is complex because it has counterspells or bounce or something like that in it. I guess we may as well find out, right? That's kind of what I imagine a lot of people are curious about with this product, is what these decks actually look like. One thing I noticed here, I gotta smell them. One thing I noticed here is that there's really not room in the box for sleeved cards. Like you couldn't sleeve this up and keep them in this box. At least it doesn't look that way. There's a little bit of extra room in there, but I don't think there's enough for 60 sleeve cards. So not that there's anything that you'd really want to sleeve in this, I imagine, except for maybe the foil. Actually, this is a beautiful card. I might put this in an inner sleeve. But Sphinx of Enlightenment is the foil mythic here. They call it a mythic. But when it enters the battlefield, target opponent draws a card and you draw 3 cards. 5/5 for 6. That's actually a really, really nice looking card. We got Engulf the Shore as an instant. Return to their owner's hands all creatures with toughness less than or equal to the number of islands you control. I'm sure that maybe you guys recognize some of the cards that I won't. I assume that most of these are reprints or from core sets and things like that. But there could be some original cards in here. I don't know. It's got the little 5-pronged. These cards, actually it looks like these are straight from M20. Most of these are. So they got a few cards that are specific to Game Night, which is pretty cool. They may still be reprints for all I know. But we got a big bounce spell there. River's Rebuke. Sorcery, return all non-land permanent target player controls to their owner's hand. Okay. And then we got Agent of Treachery. Dungeon Geist. A couple of air elementals. Brineborn Cutthroat. Yeah, just some kind of vanilla flyers. Frostlinks. Moat Piranhas. Warden of Evocile. Got a couple of those. Got an unsummon. One unsummon. 2 Winged Words. Draw 2 cards for 3, or 2 if you have a flyer on the board. And a bunch of islands. And we got a few more cards that are specific to, or at least have the set symbol for Game Night. Aven Wind Mage. Maybe cast an instant or sorcery, gets +1/+1, 2/2 flyer for 3. Cryptic Serpent, costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard, 6/5 for 7. Got 2 of those. Salvager of Secrets. Howling Golem. Yeah, this was in Commander Legends, so these are reprints that are, I guess, specific to just reprinted, especially for Game Night. Untap all non-land permanents you control. Gale Strike, a couple of those. Rise from the Tides. Some islands that might have the set symbol for Game Night. And then we got a Soldier token, a couple Dragon tokens. So that's pretty cool. Looks like a pretty fun deck to play. I'm not sure I would say it's that complex, but relative to all these other decks, none of the decks have a max complexity rating. So, I guess they're hinting at the fact that, there are other decks out there. I'm thinking of Modern Fairies, for instance, which I'm trying to rebuild. That was the deck that I used to play back in Standard. Love that deck. It's so much fun to play. But it's, you have choices to make every single turn, and that's what makes it fun. Endless Hordes. Let's see what you've got. Calculating Lich. Zombie Wizard Menace. When a creature attacks one of your opponents, that player loses 1 life. 5/5 for 6. These foils, I don't know how well. I know my camera setup isn't great, guys. I apologize for that. I'll try to improve it. But the foiling on these cards is actually quite good, and I really like that effect. I mean, it's, we've all seen foils before, but these seem particularly cool to me for some reason with the artwork. So they did a good job with that, kind of making new players maybe want some more cards in their collection after they start playing with this product. Liliana's Mastery, Zombie Lord, Enchantment, Torgar, I thought it said Feminine Incarnate. This is the RuPaul of avatars. As an additional, it's Famine Incarnate. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. The spell costs 2 less for each creature sacked that way. When it enters the battlefield, up to one target player's life total becomes half their starting life total, rounded down. So, well, maybe you start with 25 in this multiplayer. I haven't read that part of the rules. Otherwise, it would just be 10, right? Dead Presence. Here's where we got the M20 cards. Villas Broker of Blood. There's some, they didn't just put all vanilla creatures in here. There's some interesting mechanics. Got 3 of these guys. Gorging Vultures. When Gorging Vulture enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. Gain 1 life for each creature card put into your graveyard that way. Man, yeah, you're not going to see that card in Standard anytime soon, but I like that they're doing things with the graveyard in, kind of an intro product like this. They have a lot of graveyard effects in this, actually, which is pretty cool. Is this 4 Undead Servants? Wow, they're really leaning on this. When Undead Servant enters the battlefield, create 2/2 black zombie creature token for each card named Undead Servant in your graveyard. I guess that's why there's 4, but yeah, I didn't... Forgive me for all the cards that I'm not familiar with. Like I said, I haven't played. I took a hiatus for a while and just got back into it, a year or so ago. So there's going to be a lot of cards that I am not as familiar with as you guys are, unless they're older. Got all your swamps. Accursed Horde. Target attacking zombie gains indestructible till end of turn. Got a couple of flyers here. Crow of Dark Tidings. I recognize that there's a lot of these cards that were in Commander Legends, I think, or at least a handful. Bunch of Tattered Mummies. When it dies, each opponent loses 2 life. A 1/2 for 2. A 1-legged Grizzly Bear. Another Howling Golem again in this deck. It was also in the blue deck. Grasp of Darkness. Got a couple of those. It's good solid removal. Rise from the Grave. Some more swamps and some wolves. So not bad. The little card that tells you about your deck also tells you your phases, which is nice. We got 3 more to look at here. We'll get through these pretty quickly. But yeah, so far I'm pleased with this product. I mean, the 5 foils that you get are nice if you're interested in those, but I think it looks like it'd be pretty good for new players, or for anybody who's just, doesn't have 5 decks built and has 5 friends that you want to play with. Looks like a pretty cool setup, and you can just pass the decks around and get a sense of what it's like to play different colors, Fiendish Duo. 4 and 2 red, first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage instead. 5/5. Pretty cool looking foil. Not as doesn't have as much depth in the foil artwork as the other 2 do, but it looks pretty good nonetheless. Akum Hellkite. Lathless Dragon Queen. Drakuseth Maw of Flames. They've got some pretty cool dragons in here. Cards that would be fun for a new player to cast for sure. Glenhorn Buccaneer. Dragon Mage. We're just going to run through these pretty quickly so you guys can see what all we have. Looked like 4 Pack Mastiffs. Looked like 5 to me, but I'm sure it was 4. Group Scale Predator, Active Treason, Chandra's Outrage. We've got 1 Shock, Tectonic Rift, Bunch of mountains. Some Dragon Riders, Spark Tongue Dragon, a couple of those. Another Howling Golems in every deck, apparently. Lightning Strike. And then some more mountains. So pretty straightforward red deck with, looked like 2 burn spells. So, yeah, trying to make that, I guess, a little bit more fun for the other players, rather than just loading that deck up with burn. But a good intro to what red deck is, nonetheless. With dragons, of course. Massive Might. Earthshaker Giant is your foil. 4 and 2 green. It looks like they're all 6 casting cost, the foils. Trample. When Earthshaker Giant enters the battlefield, other creatures get +3/+9. Trample. Galta, Primal Hunger. The 12/12 for 12. Elder Dinosaur. And they say this deck is fast. Super fast, actually. You gotta get that 12/12 out there on turn 2. Excuse me, Ripjaw Raptor. Voracious Hydra. Wake Root Elemental. And the Ferocious Pup. What a cutie. He's gonna tear your jugular out. Howling Giants on 2. Leafkin Druids, 3 of those. Silverback Shaman. That's pretty good. Growth Cycle. 3 Growth Cycles. To overcome. Yeah, pretty much as straightforward of a, you know, stompy kind of mid-range green deck as you could imagine. But again, a good intro to the format. 3 zombie tokens. So that's fun. Alright, let's get this last one, this white weenie deck. My Yorkies deck. Let's see what it looks like. I haven't seen any equipment. I saw a couple of enchantments, I think, but not very many. You know, they kind of keep the no planeswalkers. Obviously, they're keeping the spell types pretty straightforward. Creatures and sorcery. I imagine there's even few instants, but there's got to be a couple. Highcliff Felidar. 5 and 2. This one's a 7. Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield for each opponent, choose a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls and destroy those creatures. Wow. So kill all of your opponent's most powerful creatures when he enters. So that seems pretty strong. And again, a 7 casting cost card, even being in a white weenie deck with maximum speed seems yeah. Right. Kytheons, Irregulars, Human Soldier. Yeah, these are... look at this. Zatalpa Primal Dawn. Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Indestructible. 4/8 Dinosaur, Elder Dinosaur for 8 in your white weenie deck. I guess it's not really white weenie, but the speed... I'm very dubious of that 10 out of 10 speed rating. Loxodon, Life Chanter, Zephyr Skyblade. This is interesting. I would be interested to see how this deck plays. It's almost like they just said that it was fast because it's white, but you know, so far I haven't seen a fast card. Okay, we have some 2 casting costs. So we have some Grizzly Bears. Feet and Binder. Yeah, look at this. 5 casting cost Flyers. Relief Captain, Step Glider. This is definitely not a white. There's the Howling Golem, Mighty Leap, 2 of them. Take Vengeance. Yeah, I am actually kind of shocked that they say that this deck is 10 out of 10 speed. It's so I like I said, I'm curious to see how accurate their ratings are, and after I've had a chance to play these, maybe I'll score these and give them a 1 out of 10 on how accurate their metrics were for these decks, or if they just said, hey, it's white, let's say it's this. Hopefully they gave it a little bit more thought, but anyway, there you go. There's the product, Magic the Gathering Game Night 2019 edition. I will let you know how it plays and see if we think, that it's actually worth getting for new players, or for your, game night for folks that might just be casual Magic players and don't all have their own decks. Because I'm sure that's something you guys are curious about as well. But there's at least some cool stuff in there for the price. All right, thanks for joining me on this one, and we'll see you next time. So I just wanted to make one more observation here that I noticed is that these cards are in fact made in Japan. So that uh, helps explain why those foils look so great, and the card quality seems so good. So you do at least get Japanese cards in this box, which is always a plus as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I happened to notice it. So I thought I'd pull this up and show you guys the actual financial value of the cards that are in game night. It hadn't actually occurred to me that there would be any valuable cards in there, but turns out that there are. And I looked at Amazon to see what I paid, and I think it was, and I already forgot. I think it was $40. I think that's what it was. But the Fiendish Duo, there's a foil in every deck, and the Fiendish Duo that's in here is going for $28 online, which is way more than I thought any card in this 2019 game night box would be going for. And there's some others that are saleable. The Galta Primal Hunger is $5.49, Highcliff Feldar is $4.49, Calculating Lich. All the foils basically are over $2, and then there's a few other cards as well. Ripjaw Raptor at $4, Earthshaker Giant is one of the foils at $3.49, and then two more that are over $2, including one of the foils. So not a whole lot of value, obviously, in the rest of the box. But if you just add these up, that's, call this 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Just call it there. You've got $50 of singles value, and you could probably get a little bit more out of it. So, yeah, it looks like that's not a bad deal. I don't know how much of a market there actually is for this card. I imagine it. I'm not even sure what format it's played in, to be honest. But still, I just thought that was surprising and wanted to show it to you guys. It kind of complicates playing the actual game because you can't sleeve those decks and put them in the box, which I think was a design snafu on the part of Wizards. The fact that they don't give you enough space to sleeve those cards and put them back in the box, that just seems like a bad design decision to me. I would probably proxy all the foils and just leave them in there so that, because especially if you're playing with a new player and you're wanting to get them excited about the game, the foils are the coolest cards. You don't want to just kind of take them out, so they can't even see what they look like. So I put a little inner sleeve on these and then put them back in there, and I would probably even just play the little card that has the ratings of each of the decks, the speed and the complexity and the creatures, and just play that card as a proxy, even though it doesn't have a magic card back, but whatever, you're not playing competitively, and then just put this guy on the board when you need it. So, but yeah, I don't think you really want to be shuffling a $30 foil without a sleeve and playing it, especially with players that have never really played the game before, which would probably be the case if you're playing the Game Night 2019 box. So, if you're like me, I don't want to see a single surface scratch on a card that looks as cool as this Sphinx of Enlightenment. And yeah, not being able to sleeve the cards just seems like a big design flaw, in my opinion. But otherwise, it's a pretty cool product. Once I've had a chance to play with the decks, I'll let you guys know what I think. But yep, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.